Good morning. It's good to see all of you. I'm sitting here just off of Arlington Avenue in your church. You are the church, not the building, but I happen to be at our shared collective building this morning. It's my hope that I get to you early in the week and we get to the text that we are unable to get to during on Sunday mornings on the Sabbath. So we're going to go back to Exodus. And if you remember, Exodus narrates the incredible story of Israel's deliverance. And so as we prepare to do so, I've got a question for you. Would you rather explore space or the sea? Would you rather explore space or the sea? So we're hearing that there's possible life, forms of life being found in the clouds of Venus. And so that's captured my imagination lately. So perhaps that has for you as well in space. But also the sea is something else as well. And the sea is a big part of the story of Exodus. And it's the establishment of God's covenant with Israel, the reception of core commandments at Sinai, the rebellion of Israel in the golden calf incident, and the obedient building of the tabernacle through which God would be present to accompany God's people, Israel, to the promised land. And in order to do so, in order to get to the promised land, they have to cross the Red Sea first. And so that's the story of Exodus 14. Go ahead and take some time this week and read that chapter, Exodus 14. There's great fear that's expressed in Scripture here, and it parallels what we're experiencing right now. Some of us are afraid, and from moment to moment, I am as well. Well, the Israelites, they were afraid out of their minds because of the approaching Egyptians. And what does Moses do as their leader? He tells them to stand and watch the victory the Lord will accomplish. Stand firm. In the midst of your fear, I know you're afraid, Moses says, stand firm and watch. Watch how God responds, and you will see the victory the Lord will accomplish. And what does he do? So here's a bit of an act for you. Growing up in Wisconsin, I did grow up on the stage. So here you have it. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and what did the waters do? They divided. Was this a miraculous event? I remember being captivated by this story at an early age when I was a kid in Sunday school. And even back then I thought, wow, how was this possible that Moses was able to accomplish this? Was it a miracle or was it a natural event? It was, we're told, a strong wind, and it dried up shallow waters in the sea of reeds. Was this luck? Where have we also seen this? I remember vividly when I was first introduced to the ocean and watching it through the day, watching tides move in and out. Napoleon was almost killed by a sudden high tide while crossing shallow water in the Gulf of Suez. Ironically, in Moses' neighborhood. But I think it's the genius of the story, our story, God's story, that it does not resolve the issue one way or the other. A miracle? Yes. Natural? You bet. A miracle is not necessarily something that suspends natural law. It is rather an event for which there may be a natural explanation. Happening when, where, and how did it? And it still evokes wonder, such that even the most hardened skeptics senses that God intervenes, yes, in history and in natural law. But there's also a moral message here. The hubris is punished by nemesis. The proud is punished. The proud are humbled, and the humble given pride. On foot, you could make it through the mud of the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea, but not in the power of the chariots. They would just sink. But the Israelites on foot were able to make it to safety. The Egyptian strength proved to be their weakness, and the weakness of the Israelites became their strength. I've been talking to our leadership a lot about this lately. This is a tough time, and we may feel challenged and perhaps at times weak. But our weakness might now be our very strength as church. Our problem that we're experiencing right now in this pandemic may very well be our solution if we harness it well. So, we don't need to cling to the mental images from Cecil B. DeMille's film of the grand miracle on the Red Sea with high walls of water defying gravity. There was a lot of courage no matter what happened in the people. Who was the first to step into the water? According to the rabbis, it was Nahshon, son of Amminadab. Only after Nahshon actually waded into the water did the sea part so everyone else could cross over. Somebody needed to be the first to wade into the water. That first person and their step forward is always the key. I admire Elie Wiesel's retelling of this story. One could see people running breathlessly in fear. Without a glance backward, they were running towards the sea. And there they came to an abrupt halt. This was the end. Death was there waiting. They couldn't cross the sea. The leaders of the group, urged on by Moses, push forward. Onward. Don't be afraid. Go into the water. Yet according to one commentator, Moses suddenly ordered everyone to halt. Wait a moment. Think. Take a moment to reassess what it is that you're doing. Enter the sea not as frightened fugitives, but as free men and women. Walks to freedom they inspire. And they live out amongst us even today. Out of prison, Mandela. Gandhi to the ocean. John Lewis and a holy horde crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And then the time Lewis was shown a photograph of himself as a young seminarian being released from prison in Nashville. And you can see in the picture his face glowed with the dignity of confidence. He said, "I have never had that much dignity before. It was exhilarating. Yes, I was afraid, but I was exhilarated as well. It was something I had earned, the sense of independence that comes to a free person." So, this morning, God points us to Moses in his repeated, yes, difficulty and moments of fear and failed attempts to lead. In his first appearance in Pharaoh's court, he was, yes, humiliated. It was hard. The plagues that were unleashed only drew the ire of his own people, as their lot only worsened. Once Moses finally got them to the sea's edge, and we will get there. We will get there, dear church, as well. Only when they finally got to the sea's edge, when they heard the rumbling of Pharaoh's chariots in pursuit, the people wailed in horror. Wails we still hear today, pleading with him, Moses, no, take us back. But Moses' response was not to turn and fight or to flee in a zigzag escape route. Instead, with Pharaoh's juggernaut bearing down on them, he said to the people, God's people, stand still, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. Those are words for you and me this day, for us and all that we have going on. But it's not just a word, it's an active word that brings God's promises. Continue to walk with us until we meet again.